Let us walk together into the desert, where the Cahuilla people have lived for thousands of years among the mountains and valleys of Southern California. Here, the sun teaches endurance, the springs whisper of the sacred, and every stone and wind-blown seed carries a lesson about balance. These are not merely teachings to hear, but truths to embody, clear as desert air, ancient as the mountains themselves. Breathe deeply. Let yourself settle. The desert is patient. The basin holds water. The Cahuilla women weave baskets so tightly they can hold water without a drop escaping. Each basket takes months to complete, gathering materials at the right season, preparing fibers with meticulous care, weaving each strand with attention and intention. The basket does not appear all at once. It grows slowly, row by row, the weaver's hands knowing exactly how much tension to hold, when to pull tight and when to allow give. A basket woven too loosely spills everything. A basket woven too tightly cracks under pressure. The wisdom is in the balance, firm enough to hold, flexible enough to endure. Your own life requires this same balance. If you are too loose with your energy, you spill yourself everywhere and hold nothing. If you are too rigid with your rules and expectations, you crack under the weight of imperfection. Where in your life have you been weaving too tightly, afraid of any give? Where have you been weaving too loosely, unable to contain what matters? The basket teaches, strength and flexibility are not opposites, they are partners. 2. The wind carries messages. The Cahuilla speak of Kutyai, the wind spirit, who moves through the desert carrying messages, warnings, blessings. The wind is not random, it speaks to those who listen. It tells you when storms are coming. It shows you where water flows by the direction it bends the grasses. It clears away what is stagnant and brings fresh air to spaces grown stale. But the wind cannot be controlled or commanded. You cannot tell it when to blow or where to go. You can only notice it, honor it, work with it. In your own life, there are forces like the wind, circumstances you cannot control, changes that arrive without asking permission, movements in your heart and mind that have their own timing. You waste your energy trying to command them. The wisdom is in learning to listen instead, to notice what the wind is telling you, to adjust your sails rather than cursing the breeze. What messages have you been ignoring because they didn't arrive in the form you wanted? What would change if you stopped trying to control the wind and started listening to what it's trying to tell you? The desert blooms when it's ready. In the harsh desert, plants wait. Sometimes for months, sometimes for years. Seeds lie buried in sand that looks dead and barren, holding their potential in silence. And then, when the conditions are exactly right, when the rain comes at the right time, when the temperature shifts, when some mysterious combination of factors aligns, the desert explodes into bloom. Flowers that seemed impossible appear overnight, carpeting the sand in colors too vivid to be believed. The desert does not bloom on your schedule. It blooms on its own time, according to laws older than human impatience. The Cahuilla understand this. They do not curse the desert for not blooming in summer. They wait. They trust. They know that readiness cannot be rushed. You are like this desert. There are things in you waiting to bloom, gifts, healing, understanding, transformation. You cannot force them into flower before their time. Pushing against the natural rhythm only exhausts you. The wisdom is in learning to wait with patience, to trust that the blooming will come when conditions are right, to tend the soil of your life without demanding immediate results. What are you trying to force into bloom before it's time? Can you trust that the seeds in you know when to open? For the hot springs remember everything. There are sacred hot springs in Cahuilla lands where Sun Gray, the medicine spirit, dwells. These waters have healing power, but they also have memory. They have witnessed countless generations, births and deaths, ceremonies and sorrows, the footsteps of ancestors long returned to the earth. When you enter these waters, you are entering a living archive. The Cahuilla approach with respect, with gratitude, with awareness that they are stepping into something larger than themselves. The springs do not exist solely for human convenience. They are sacred beings with their own presence, their own wisdom. This understanding extends to everything in Cahuilla worldview. The land is not a resource to extract from, but a relative to be in relationship with. When you take from it, you give something back. When you use its gifts, you express gratitude. When you walk upon it, you remember you are walking on the body of the sacred. How different would your daily life feel if you approached everything as sacred? If your morning coffee, your home, your work, the very ground beneath your feet were all understood as gifts requiring gratitude? What have you been taking for granted that might be asking for your acknowledgement and respect? Five. Cleanliness is a prayer. The Cahuilla bathed frequently, even in a desert where water was precious. They used sweat houses for purification. They kept their homes, tools, and baskets meticulously clean and ordered. This was not obsessive or superficial, it was spiritual practice. They understood that outer order reflects and supports inner order, that caring for your physical space is a way of caring for your spirit. When your environment is chaotic, cluttered, dirty, your mind becomes the same. When your body is neglected, your soul feels the neglect. The Cahuilla practice of cleanliness was a form of prayer, a way of saying, I honor this life I have been given. I tend what has been entrusted to me. I create order in the small space I can control, knowing I cannot control the larger forces around me. This is not about perfection or rigid rules. It is about the simple discipline of care, washing your body, tending your space, maintaining your tools, creating a sense of order that allows your spirit to rest. Whereas neglect crept into your life, in your physical space, your body, your daily routines. What might shift if you approach these basic acts of maintenance as sacred practice rather than tedious chores?